All right, folks, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being with us. We got a great show for you, as always. We have Rob Spencer. We have Eric Haynes in the chair. We're going to talk about the latest developments. We got the J6 pipe bomber update. This is weeks after, or maybe a month. Has it been a month, or has it been 3 weeks, 4 weeks, after we thought we had the J6 pipe bomber, a female Capitol Hill police officer, but now the FBI is saying, no, it's not. It's a guy named Brian Cole. And so let the conspiracy theories fly at this point. But we're going to cover the news of today based on that. Also, whether or not Pete Hegseth is guilty of war crimes and much, much more. He's not, by the way. The Paul Harrell program starts right now. Yeah, you say it.
The Paul
I'm
Harrell
going to throw to you first. I'm not going to do that. All right, folks, welcome to the show. We really appreciate it. We're having a good time here. Merry Christmas to you. You don't have, I don't know, what, you got about 20 days until Christmas. Rob, welcome back, sir. How are you?
You know what? I'm glad to be back. I had some body art done on Tuesday. It was quite extensive across my chest here, so I'm recently into the tattoos. Most people don't make it into their 40s before they get their first tattoos, but I did. So anyway, recovering the last couple of days. Yeah, I'm doing much better today. But anyway, glad to be a part of this show today, and looking forward to all the conversations.
Eric Haynes, thank you for being with us again.
Great to be part of the conversation.
All right, so here we go. J6 pipe bomb investigation. We got new developments here. Let's throw this up on the screen. J6 pipe bomb suspect probed for possible anarchist beliefs as feds swarm his stylish suburban Virginia home, sources say. This, again, the New York Post reporting that the suspect was arrested Thursday morning in connection with the planting of pipe bombs outside of the Democratic and Republican National Committees on the eve of January 6, 2021, the Fedsurrection. Federal agents swarmed the Woodbridge, Virginia home of 30-year-old Brian Cole Jr. following the break in the case that was vexed and embarrassed the FBI for nearly 5 years. Now, let's just stop right there.
Yeah.
Are we really to believe that the FBI just couldn't get this done under the Biden administration, or were they prevented from getting it done because they didn't want the J6 pipe bomber to be not a MAGA person?
Well, I mean,
Both?
there's a certain level of, well, okay, let's just go back to the committee, the committee that they put forward with two rhinos, right, who are no longer in Congress anymore for that very fact, because they were rhinos, Liz Cheney and what's that other douche?
Adam
Kissinger. Yeah, Adam Kissinger. No longer a part of Congress for a reason, because, they did this phony investigation, and what did they do? They burned. It's like, did you literally just take all the files and you just burn them?
Yeah, they destroyed them.
They destroyed the files, right? And so it's like, okay, it's because you don't want us to know the truth. And so for my opinion, and to Paul's point there, I think it's more of, if we don't know the truth, then it's still this thing that we can point to of, no, there were no feds in the crowd. No, they didn't encourage all of this stuff. No, this pipe bomb, this pipe bomber is this person over here. It's over here, whatever. We don't want concrete proof about anything, because it's kind of like, have you heard anything about Epstein recently? I mean, really, you haven't, because as soon as it was all released, everybody's like, oh, well, all right, let's move on to the next one,
Well, yeah, and on that, the Democrats, they released something, yesterday they were making a big deal out of these new photos, and yet James O'Keefe released them like 3 months ago, unredacted. The Dems released them redacted.
Yeah, because they're phonies, and they're full of it. But
some information on this. Big house in a nice neighborhood. The New York Post referenced that. I'm not really sure which house it is. But according to Publius, they arrested the J6 pipe bomb suspect, identified as somebody named Brian Cole, 30, of Northern Virginia. And they've looked at this guy's whole family. Suffice it to say, that he's a black man. This is a post from his mom, reportedly. I can't keep calm. I have a black son. This is the family involved. And so, yeah, I think they were involved in some sort of bail bondsman activity as a family business or anything else. But that alone right there could be the reason why. Because there's a thread of truth here, regardless of which narrative you believe. Okay, let's go back to Steve Baker. Steve Baker from The Blaze. Okay, Steve Baker reports weeks ago they've done a gate analysis. He claims that he's talked, to, Intel services, presumably DNI. I know CBS certainly tried to make Tulsi Gabbard look terrible. Because allegedly she was involved in some of the corroboration between Steve Baker, where he says, hey, we've done the gait analysis. It's a female, which, by the way, if you go back and look at the video, it still looks pretty feminine. And then you had this divided MAGA. You had Julie Kelly saying, no, that's wrong. Don't believe Steve Baker. That's not it. It's not the female Capitol Police officer. Well, if it was the female Capitol Police officer who then was reassigned to the CIA, you can obviously understand why the FBI wanted nothing to do with figuring out who the pipe bomber was. Likewise, that would also be true if you have, if it is in fact Brian Cole. He's innocent. He's presumed innocent until proven guilty because he is, not some white redneck wearing a MAGA hat. Purportedly, he is been described as an anarchist. There's also reports out there that he's got ties to Antifa. If that's accurate, you could still see why, to promote the narrative, like Rob was saying, why you would never want, you were going to drop this, we're not going to pursue it any longer.
Yeah, there's a fecklessness and an ineptness in the Biden administration when it comes to a lot of the things that are pretty controversial, and that have been very inconvenient for them to have really gone after this stuff and done what the Kash Patel Bondi Department of Justice has just recently done. It would have been, very unfortunate for them to have to come out with that information.
Yeah,
and so that's just one of those things that they could have just swept under the rug.
Yeah,
and moved on to the next thing. Not that there was really all that much news back then. Because there wasn't. They obviously weren't chasing much at all. They weren't communicating much at all. The lack of transparency from the administration by comparison to now is just absolutely unimaginable.
The problem that I see here is that because you had that Blaze report coming out, and we had nothing. We had nothing for 10 months, nothing on the J6 pipe bomber. We might have been told, hey, stay tuned. You have Steve Baker with his report, and then weeks later, oh, no, it's not the Capitol. I mean, we can all agree that if it was the Capitol Police officer, it would be way worse than this. And so now you're going to have people that are never going to believe this. They're just not. No. They're going to assume that the original story was accurate and that this is a cover-up.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's what I believe. I don't know yet. I've been waiting to hear from Steve Baker, not me personally, but the last tweet that he did was yesterday, in which he responded to Phil Kennedy's tweet saying, in case you're wondering why there is no action on our series of stories revealing knowledge and complicity by certain Capitol Police actors in the J6 pipe bomb conspiracy, quote, they are being completely steamrolled by the Comey Ray zealots that they've promoted, meaning that there's still a lot of Comey Ray zealots in the FBI working underneath Kash and Dan Bongino. But we do have some more specifics from the guy they arrested today. According to TechnoFog, the pipe bomber, there's an affidavit out there. The FBI tracked Brian Cole's bomb-making equipment purchases to Home Depot and Walmart, according to the affidavit, again, sworn under penalty of perjury. His cell phone pinged the area of the RNC and DNC on January 5th, 2021, and his car was placed a half a mile from the bombs on January 6th. So this is some of the evidence.
January 5.
January 5. So this is some of the evidence that is already out there with the affidavit.
Yeah.
I know there's an interview out there with Kash Patel saying in the coming days or weeks we're going to find out even more. My question is he working alone? Where did he get this idea? Was it Antifa? Is he just some anarchist? I don't know, but we're gonna have to wait and see.
Well, I mean, wait and see seems to be the theme of the first, 10 10, 11 months of this Trump administration and second administration here. So to say that I'm frustrated by all of it, but at the same time, I am excited that there's still, that there's probing and that there is still some sort of good faith effort, it seems, to get to the bottom of what all happened here. Now, the pipe bomb is one issue, and the agitators is another issue. And I think that the common, sort of everyday Republican who believes that January 6th was stupid, like, hey, why did it go that far, still believes that the FBI had a hand in this. So now that the FBI is coming out with all this additional information, like, hey, here's the guy, there's going to be a lot of people who question that. And which is why the title of the show is what it is. Do you believe what the FBI is saying at this point? And unfortunately, until we have some sort of comprehensive report about what happened on January 6, 2021, until, which was the mecca for Democrats.
Oh, it was worse than 9/11,
right?
Right.
Yes.
Worse than 9/11.
These days that'll live in infamy.
Yeah.
Whatever her Highness Kamala said. But anyway, like, that what do they've got? They've got January 6th. They've got Epstein, and they don't really have Epstein. They don't really have January 6th. Anyway, so I just have a bit of caution and a bit of skepticism with all of the information that's coming out. Not that I distrust Kash Patel, but, I don't like what he said on Rogan about Epstein.
Versus now,
yeah, like when he went on Joe Rogan and he was like, "Man, if I had all this information, don't you think I would tell you?" And all of this stuff, and it's like, I don't know, I don't know, man.
Well, and likewise, Bongino, I mean, he specifically with the January 6th pipe bomber said it was an inside job all the time. I mean, multiple times he said because they were arresting grandmas and doing facial recognition software of who was on what part of the Capitol, but you just totally give up on the J6 pipe bomber,
right?
It's reasonable to conclude that it was one of theirs. That's why Steve Baker's reporting was so. I mean, it confirmed what all of us were already thinking. And again, you can still have Julie Kelly here, who is not a fan of Steve Baker and basically kind of went to war against him when he came out with that report because she's covered this J6 stuff for a long time. She's saying, look, that the Washington Post is saying that he did have extreme political views.
Is that true? I haven't seen that has the Washington Post reported that?
Quote extremist political views. I mean, that's what she's reporting.
Well, she's not. So I'd like to see that report there with Washington. I don't subscribe to them, but I'd like to know what are they classifying as extremists? Are they MAGA or Antifa? What you're about to get to.
But
there.
She says they would have not. This would have not only decimated the developing J6 insurrection narrative at the time, but completely contradicted Ray's early insistence that Antifa played no role in January 6th. Again, so we still have the plausible explanation for why they sat on this for as long as they did, because it would have poked a hole in their narrative either way. Yeah. And that's what makes these new developments awfully convenient. But let's just get to this. Let's hear from Dan Bongino, shall we?
Hold on just a second. Okay. Just awfully convenient, from the pack. But like, I want you to ask yourself, Paul, Eric, ask yourself this. We already know the question. It's redundant. But when you hear of a protest and you hear that there's MAGA and then there's Antifa, and you hear that something has exploded or burned down or been destroyed, where does your mind go? If you're a rational person, your mind goes to the Antifa side,
100%.
Right? It's not going over here to this MAGA side. January 6th was an anomaly. It is not the feature. It's not the feature of what a MAGA person is. Now, MAGA people are upset. They're angry. They are tired of seeing what's happening in our country, but they're not blowing up Tesla dealerships.
Correct.
They're not burning down courthouses in Seattle and police stations and all of this stuff. That stuff is Antifa. So I am a little bit more inclined to believe that someone with a pipe bomb is
Gonna
more
be Antifa,
It's
yeah.
going to be Antifa more than it's going to be MAGA blowing up the Capitol, right?
Right.
Depending on however powerful that was. But regardless, I would like to know if the Washington Post, which is, very leftist, right?
and basically a mouthpiece from the intel agencies.
Correct, because they're right there in the thick of it. And what are they saying? I've not read that article about it, but what are they saying about his extremist views? Whatever this dude's name is, Cole was his last name.
Brian Cole.
Brian Cole.
Brian Cole. And there's already been plenty of people because when they found out his name, all right, guys, do your work. Who's Brian Cole? It's like, well, there's probably about
A billion Brian Coles.
Coles. We feel sorry for all the Brian Coles that are not this
John
guy.
Smith.
I know 4 Brian Coles right now.
All right, here we go. Here's
We've been working on for a
Bongino.
very long time. We deeply appreciate it. Thank you for the kind words, Attorney General and Director. I appreciate it. Folks, this is what it's like when you work for a president who tells you to go get the bad guys and stop focusing on other extraneous things not related to law enforcement. This is what happens. We had a great team. I know it's said a lot in this business. It was a team effort. It becomes cliche, but cliches are useful for a reason because they matter. And this was a team effort. The director and the attorney general emphasized that it was not a new public tip this was our internal work at the FBI. And we've been working on for a very long
Okay,
time.
I got 30 seconds there, and I think I got another one over here. Let's see if we got any more.
Yeah, sure. I was smiling at you because I certainly remember the moment. Darren remembers it too. He said, "Are you sitting down?" Called me on the phone. I said, "Oh boy, why? Is this bad news?" And he said, "I think we got him." What exactly that tip was, we're going to have to pass on that for right now while obviously we're in the prologue of a long book. This is just the beginning. This is not the end of the investigation, as you all well know, having reported on these for a long time. There's interviews to be conducted. The search warrant processing scene is not even done. So we're at the early stages, so that's the only reason I hesitate to tell you what the exact tip was. But yes, that was absolutely the moment, and it was due to the diligent and incredible work of a team in the Washington field office that came in and just scoured through this over and over and over and over again.
In general, was it forensic? Was it a phone call? Was it something about a vehicle?
We'll just leave it generally forensic evidence. Yeah, it's fair enough to say.
was that?
Excuse me?
How long ago that was?
I'd rather not say because of the ongoing interview process, and I don't want to. Yeah.
All right, so I mean, we already went over some of the affidavits, some of the evidence. Claims there's evidence. I thought I had one. Anyway, I missed it, but there's at least one photo out there of his shoes. Like they were really focusing on his sneakers, and these particular sneakers he was wearing were rare. I think is what the allegation is. So anyway, I don't know, but I mean, hey, if this is the guy, this is great,
Sure.
right? I mean, this has been a mystery for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be in a wait and see mode, right? I want more information.
I think the majority of us are, until we see perp walks, until we see indictments that are meaningful, hey, appreciate all of this stuff. So his house was raided by the FBI.
Yeah.
Okay. And have we seen any sort of updates in terms of whether this gentleman has been arrested?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think they've got him. Yeah.
Okay, so they've got him. So he's been arrested. Mm-hmm. When are we going to see a mugshot? When are we going to see a perp walk? When are we going to see something that is a little bit more concrete of, it? I hate to say it, but I keep putting it in the vein of we've got a hearing at this committee. It's the same as Congress with their endless ad nauseum hearing committees, where they're hearing this information or whatever, and nothing happens. Great, we've gone a step further, but guess whose house was raided here recently? John Bolton. Does anything happen with him? Mm-hmm. I'm thankful that we're doing this. I don't want to sound like a cynic. I don't want to sound like I'm giving up on this administration. But at the same time, until there's something concrete, I'm not going to believe this. Even
Well-
Dan Bongino was being very,
Yeah,
evasive with some of that stuff.
And Eric, feel free to make us throw up the black pill here in just a second, okay? But I just it is just interesting that we had nothing.
Yeah.
We had an independent journalist come out with a story that was pretty interesting. It's like the first we've heard of it in a long time, saying it was a Capitol Police officer. And then weeks later, I mean, by the way, that story kind of put egg all over the FBI's face, whether it was warranted or whether it wasn't warranted. That's what people were saying. Like, what are you guys even doing? Is the FBI even reformable? So I guess it's also a situation you're damned if you do, if you're damned if you don't.
yeah.
Had the FBI came out and said, yeah, Steve Baker's right, then everybody would be happy. But they say, no, Steve Baker's wrong because this is the guy instead. Which now, and it's so unfortunate because for all the talk of everybody that wants the right to be unified,
Yeah.
there's these little things that keep happening where now it's like, well, just trust the government. Just trust the government. It's going to be okay. But we live in an era where not trusting the government is actually the most reasonable position that you can take, even though it's our people who are in there. So, Eric, critique us, rebuke us, make us be black pill bulimics.
No, the government is the problem. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with that at all. I think they're listening. I think this administration listens. I think this administration reacts. I think they pivot. I don't think they're going to walk a lot of things back, but they'll at least redirect each other and redirect themselves and take a pulse on the nation. I think they're now talking about, and I don't mean to switch gears off of this pipe bomb situation, but you can tell just in the way that they have reacted to affordability conversations, they, more than anyone else, and particularly more than the previous administration, at least care about what Americans are talking about and what the information that they need to know. And like you said, until we really have a sentencing and a guilty verdict and somebody's going to jail for this incident, like, it doesn't matter. And everybody's just going to sit around speculating. There's going to be 20 different potential stories for what could have happened with this incident 4+ years ago. That in the grand scheme of things, there are a lot bigger things going on that we're all dealing with and that we're all thinking about as it relates to us and our families. Yeah. And so this kind of gets easily tabled or easily put up on the shelf until there's actually something that becomes really real.
And you know what that something would not just be, the arrest of the pipe bomber, but also the arrest of the people who are responsible for making January 6th a thing in the first place.
Right.
Sure.
Walking people into the Capitol.
Yes.
The plainclothes FBI agents.
Correct.
Allegedly, firing projectiles into the crowd to get people whipped up before it had even turned violent. So many other things. Nancy Pelosi refusing the National Guard that Trump was offering her. That's what people want, and I don't know if we're ever going to get that, much less, James Comey gets indicted, but then corrupt judge finds a way to throw it out. It's just this is the problem. This is why there's unrest.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, and it didn't just happen. It didn't just happen overnight. This stuff has been building for quite some time, and I believe there's an adage like what's the word? There's nothing as greasy as a politician handshake or something. What is I can't remember. There's an expression.
I thought you were going to say
that's true.
Gus's fried chicken, but no, go ahead.
Gus's fried chicken. Oh man, there's nothing. There's almost nothing better as Gus's fried chicken, though. For real.
But anyway, so we've had distrust in our politicians for quite some time. But I don't remember when it happened where the FBI and the 3-letter agencies started to get all of this distrust. But we've never, and I would dare say in all of our lives, we're all, I forget how old you are, Eric, but you're pretty close to our age. We're
early 20s.
Okay, right. But but regardless, like I see that I don't believe in any of the three of our lifetime where the FBI can literally release a report,
Yeah.
and half of the people don't believe it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a great
Like
point.
when I don't know when that tide turned, but that's why you have this extra level of distrust when they release this information about January 6th, or they do a indictment of James Comey finally, or good grief. I mean, the FBI raided under the Biden administration, the FBI raided, or the Department of Justice, whatever arm that was there, raided a preacher who was praying in front of an abortion clinic. And he had 6 kids, and they raided. It was a pre-dawn raid with, like military style raid.
Where are our raids?
Yeah.
like that.
Well, and because ours would be much more meaningful than a preacher who is praying at
Yeah.
an abortion clinic.
Right, exactly.
Right? And you want to try to sit here and say that we've weaponized government? You gave us the absolute playbook on how to weaponize the government. And they're like, I can't believe Trump's going after his political enemies with the judicial system. How many presidents have got a mugshot? I can think of one, right? And
I can think of a lot more that should have mugshots.
Good grief. I mean, you want to talk about what Barack Obama did. Like Barack.
Here we go.
Yes. I mean, I'm not trying to dovetail off on this, but
We
it
should
all
go,
goes into
we
the
should
same
go
thing.
there now.
Yeah.
We should go there
Yeah.
now.
But when you order a fake intel report of these agencies that are already distrusted, to my point here, I'm gonna back up my own point here, bring it on home. But when you're ordering a fake intel report, you are manipulating our justice system. And so you gave us the playbook. Don't look at us and say, hey, how dare you do this or that. You gave us the playbook. We're just doing it better, hopefully.
So Mike Benz posted this last night, or at least I saw it last night. It's a link to the White House building, okay? The building website, the history of the White House. It's not Mike Benz. I'm sorry. It's Martyr Made. So he says, go down to major events timeline and just keep scrolling to the right. Go down to major events timeline and just keep scrolling to the right. So I did that.
Okay.
It's hilarious.
So
This is
we
awesome.
get in 1791.
Have you seen this, Rob?
I have not.
Okay, great.
No.
We're going to have
Saddle
a real
up.
red.
No, I'm excited.
All right. So in 1791, we have the design plans commence. Then in 1812, we have the rebuilding after the war. Then we have in 1824 the addition of the South Portico. Then we get to the addition of the North Portico. Then the addition of the West Wing and the addition of the Oval Office. After that,
That
the
was
Rose.
not until the 1900s? I did not know that.
1909.
Okay.
1913, the addition of the Rose Garden. That was quite something. Then we get the addition of the West Wing from 1934 to 1942. Then a total reconstruction happened in 1948 to 1952, followed by an additional briefing room in 1970. And then the White House says, then we get the Bill Clinton scandal that happened in the White House in 1998. President Bill Clinton's affair with intern Monica Lewinsky was exposed, leading to White House perjury investigations. The Oval Office trysts fueled impeachment for obstruction. And then the next slide, in 2012, we get a Muslim Brotherhood visit.
Wait. You gotta get a drum roll. Drum roll for what's coming up.
Give me a second to recover here.
Obama hosts the Muslim Brotherhood at a group and promotes Islamic extremism and has ties to Hamas. The Muslim Brotherhood is designated a terrorist organization by nearly a dozen nations. Then in 2020, they added a tennis pavilion. So that was something. And then in 2023, they discovered cocaine at the White House.
Just turn it back. Oh my God.
And,
oh my
and,
my
and
face
then the
is just...
Trans Day of Visibility in 2023. And then in 2025, gratefully, they added the north and south flagpoles, and then they did more Rose Garden renovations and Oval
I
Office
swear.
renovations, and now we're getting East Wing renovations with a new ballroom. But that's that's the timeline of it.
Epic trolling.
It is epic trolling, and
But it's comedy too, and it's funny.
Yeah.
It's everybody in America needs to be able to laugh at this and just be fine with it. Because it's true. It's funny.
But come on, hold
I
up.
love
2023, the cocaine discovered. That the fact that is on the fact that is on an official government website
yeah.
just shows you that we are in much different times. And then say nothing of the picture to the right of it, with some dude who has breast implants, right, and was out there for the Trans Day of Visibility and just flaunting around and saying, "You have." And they say, Trump, you have destroyed the dignity of the office.
So and look, the criticism here is that this is excellent trolling, or great trolling, but we need way more than just trolling, right? Back to our previous point, not to black pill again, but you know what I mean? Like, come on, all right, this is great, this is fine, this is we just had a fun laugh. I'm having a great time doing the show with you guys. It's great, but come on, let's.
Go back.
We need
go
more,
back to the left just a little bit. All right, so hold up. This is what I love about this. So you got Muslim Brotherhood visit, okay, and you got Obama in a turban, and then you've got
The tennis pavilion.
the First Lady wanted to have a nice tennis court here, and then you moved on to the next one. But the fact that those are in 3 successive things I'm just telling you, that is so funny. Just that picture right there.
No, it was good. I mean, it's like way funnier than Saturday Night Live. Like, if we're honest, way funnier than Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Just this right here.
Oh, I was wondering why
This
y'all
stuff,
were so excited for me to
we-
see this,
yeah.
and I see now.
This stuff
That's hilarious.
This stuff makes me miss Rush Limbaugh, and makes me just think of the comedy additions that he would have put, and how much he would have enjoyed something like this.
Yeah,
And
this would be something that Rush would.
Right.
So good.
Yeah.
For our listening audience only, it is a major events timeline. We're scrolling through here, and you have all of these significant things, but then, it just has some trolling of, Obama in a turban in 2012, and he brings in the Muslim Brotherhood, and then the next picture is First Lady Melania Trump oversaw the privately funded construction of a 1,200-foot tennis pavilion. And then the next picture, 2023, cocaine discovered, and you have Hunter Biden in a passed out, basically in a tub, there after a drug-fueled tryst, I'm sure. And then the next one is Trans Day of Visibility, and you have a dude with breast implants that has no top on. So this is
Standing
just
next to
epic.
Biden.
Yeah, standing next to Biden. This is the most epic trolling ever. The dedication to go back through history to have these significant events.
Yeah, they've got some
and then adding that stuff
young
in there.
people working at the White House.
Gosh, when the Democrats would ever retake the presidency, they will 100% remove this faster than it'll be like day one. There'll be some big pressing issue, and they will remove this before that.
I think young people know how funny this is too, and it's encouraging that to put an extra spin on this, that it's encouraging that the conservative movement is so attractive to young people, and the White House gets that, and that's just my take on it. Correct me if you think I'm wrong on this, but I just think that young people see stuff like this and they'd appreciate the comedy of it and the antics of it, and that's who we're going for. That's who we're adding to the voting blocks. That's the ones that are showing up. That's who we have to talk about affordability with in the next few years, so that they understand that while affordability is not a hoax, it's a hoax in the way that the Democrats are talking about affordability, and that they think that they have solutions to affordability, and their solution is socialism.
Yeah.
That's
We
that's their
saw what-
solution to
Right.
affordability. And so I
We saw your
hope that wasn't a bridge too far to connect the two. But I see a lot of young people that would get this and that would click through this and would just laugh their heads off, show their frat buddies and all that stuff, and then remember that this is the part of the conservative movement where it's okay to laugh at some of the things that have gone on before, and to see these aspects of history and to use them to troll.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you look at that and say, all right, well, this could be just red meat to the conservatives and all of that. But I think any centrist who sees this needs that reminder of this is what it was like under the Biden administration.
Yeah.
When Trump talks about the affordability hoax, he's talking about the fact that they created the problem, and now they're trying to say they have the solutions to the problem. Bull.
They created the problem, telling everybody everything was fine while they were having topless men with breast implants on the White House lawn.
Right.
Yeah.
And saying, this is normal and all of that stuff. In my heart of hearts, and I believe that the majority of, conservatives and even centrists, they don't really believe that Joe Biden was, number one, in charge, and number two, believed all the crap that he was forced to say.
Yeah.
Because when you look back at Joe Biden, there's a video resurfacing talking about how the danger of illegal immigration, and it was from 1989. And he was very passionately and eloquently speaking about the dangers of having illegal immigration. And then he just opened the floodgates when he became president. I don't believe that. I believe that there was a shift, of course, right? Because when him and Barack ran the first time in 2008, they were against gay marriage, and so there were shifts that happened. But I don't believe you do a complete 180 and you just open the floodgates of something that you spoke passionately about for 40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, young voters in their early 20s and 30s didn't have to see a doddering shell falling down, going up the stairs, up to Air Force One, or losing himself as he would make a speech and then get lost in the gardens and not know where to go, or to see his cheat sheet cards over and over and over again, and to read teleprompters wrong. And they figured that stuff out quick. They've got good radars, and they could sniff that stuff out. So then when everyone else in America saw him try to debate with Trump on that first one, it was just like, oh, this is bad.
Well, I think I think we're going to look back at it, and I think any reasonable person is going to look back with, honestly, just feeling sorry for the man.
Sorry for those 4 years.
Elder abuse.
Because of what he was put through, and also because of the manipulation that was happening behind the scenes. Those are the evil people in the world.
On the topic, though, of Biden and the border and the flood, this is a new development here.
Yeah.
We have this is kind of related to that, too, about how it was all intentional, all by design, as you and I were talking before the show, Eric. Former Maduro spy chief's letter to Trump seeks to expose narco-terrorist war against the United States. The Dallas Express has obtained an explosive letter addressed to President Donald Trump from Hugo Carvajal Barrios, the former director of military intelligence for Venezuela and once one of the most powerful figures inside the governments of Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro. The letter, shared exclusively with DX by Carvajal's attorney, Robert Fettel, a former senior Justice Department prosecutor, marks the first time the retired Major General has put these warnings on record since pleading guilty earlier this year in U.S. federal court in a narco-terrorism case. So the letter, you can kind of break it up here into three sections. Here it is. Number one, narco-terrorism. And Eric, feel free to jump in here if I miss anything. But he says, I personally witnessed how Hugo Chavez's government became a criminal organization that is now run by Nicolas Maduro and other senior regime officials. The purpose of this organization, now known as the Cartel of the Suns, is to weaponize drugs against the United States. The drugs that reached your cities through new routes were not accidents of corruption, nor just the work of independent traffickers. They were deliberate policies coordinated by the Venezuelan regime against the United States. The plan was suggested by the Cuban regime to Chavez in the mid-2000s and has been successfully executed with help from the FARC, ELN, Cuban operatives, and Hezbollah. The regime has provided weapons, passports, and impunity for these terrorist organizations to operate freely from Venezuela against the United States. Tren de Agua is mentioned, counterintelligence is mentioned, and then Smartmatic in your elections, which ties directly back to the episode we did where we interviewed yesterday Dr. Andrew Paquette. He says Smartmatic was born as an electoral tool of the Venezuelan regime, but soon derived into a tool to help keep the regime stay in power forever. I know this because I placed the head of IT of the National Election Council in his position, and he reported directly to me. The Smartmatic system can be altered. This is a fact. This technology was later exported abroad, including to the United States. Regime operatives maintain relationships with election officials and voting machine companies inside your country. I do not claim that every election is stolen, but I state with certainty that elections can be rigged with the software and has been used to do so. So it's interesting. I watched Lara Logan's interview with Berenstain, who the former CIA section chief, and I was just blown away by that. It was like a 2.5 hour interview. I was blown away. I have questions about some of it, but basically one of the things that I thought was fascinating is in the Arnold Schwarzenegger administration in California, Smartmatic went over and they tried to get them to adopt the machines. And they had to do an independent audit in order to accept the software. And under the Schwarzenegger administration, they had independent people look at it, and they said, hey, we think that this software was written to rig elections. So Smartmatic was sent packing, hit the road jack. Well, then Schwarzenegger, his term was up, and Jerry Brown got involved. And you know what they immediately did? They covertly changed the law to where you didn't have to do the scrutiny, and Smartmatic came right back and got the contract. And to this day, Smartmatic, because Smartmatic also, Dominion is different, but they still run Smartmatic software. But in its infancy, Smartmatic is now still the only place they run elections officially is in L.A. County, right? There's other voting machine companies in it, but they've infected all of them, or most of them, from what we can tell. I guess the point of the matter is what, did you guys see the interview yesterday? What do you think of this? I mean, this kind of ties everything together. I was blown away by it. I couldn't believe the stuff about the algorithms and how that works in a symbiotic relationship with the voting software. So, anyway.
I'll be very short with my comments on it. I'll say you're naive if you don't believe that digital software, some that is internet-based, and I am not a techie, so I'm just going to use my crude, simpleton version of it here and say, this is software. You can get on the internet. I can be sitting in an airport and be on their Wi-Fi, and someone can take over my computer. So you mean to tell me that technology exists, but yet these individuals who have the ability to go in there, change votes, do whatever they want to do, have that ability but choose not to? You're naive. That's not the world we live in, because there's too much money at stake, especially when you're dealing with the world's greatest power.
100%.
I say this as frankly as I possibly can, in that this is modern war. This is not two militaries lining up on a battlefield against each other and shooting volleys back and forth. This is modern warfare.
Yeah.
This is a country that is going after us and killing hundreds of thousands of
millions
of our citizens on a yearly basis with these drugs. I think this is why President Trump's so ticked off.
Yeah.
And you saw it in the cabinet meeting the other day. I mean, he's already talking about, like, we know where these people are. We're going to start hitting land. Like, these boats that we're blasting out of the water, this is just the beginning. We know exactly where this stuff is coming from. And so I think there was a sentence, if you go back to that article right there at the very bottom of the Smartmatic piece, that says, I fully support President Trump's policy towards Venezuela because it is in self-defense and he is acting based on the truth. And so a lot of things are going to happen, I think, in a pretty short period of time. And Maduro's got a target on his back, obviously, and President Trump and our Department of War and Secretary Hegseth, who I support, is going to put an end to this.
Well, President Trump is strangling Venezuela. So you think that they don't have an incentive to do more, to do everything that they can within their power? And I see all this BS here when they're these reporters asking them when they're blowing up these drug boats coming in from Venezuela or wherever, and they're like, "Oh, you're coming into these," and I hope I don't jump ahead here, but you're coming into and you blow it up, and then what do you say to Pete Hegseth if he shoots, giving orders to kill the survivors? We didn't blow up the boat and say, "Hey, if you survive this initial blast, here you go. We're going to let you live." What are you talking about?
Yeah.
He's declared war on the cartels, and he's decided that these boats are bringing, we know who they are, we know who the individuals are, they're bringing drugs in that are killing Americans. I'm going to blow them up, and I don't give a damn.
I mean, if I go hunting to shoot and kill a deer, I hunt with a semi-automatic 270.
Yeah.
And I miss, and I get another shot.
Or if you only get him in the leg
I hit
or
again.
something.
Yeah,
you're like, hey.
I'm shooting until
Yeah.
the deer is down.
Yeah, it's your lucky day, dear.
This is this expectation that you're going to use the military, the goal of the military is to most efficiently kill the other side. This expectation that you're going to use the military on someone and then not shoot twice is insane. And it's go ahead, Eric.
This reporter the other day at the cabinet meeting was firing off all these questions as if war crimes were about to be insinuated at the administration because of them killing the guys that were trying to after the boat was hit once. Then they're going back scrambling around trying to make sure they tried to salvage what they could. And look what came out on the news. Go ahead and play it.
Jesse Waters, ABC just blew up the Democrats' double tap hoax. Listen.
Tonight, new information. According to a source familiar with the incident, the two survivors climbed back onto the boat after the initial strike. They were believed to be potentially in communication with others and salvaging some of the drugs. Because of that, it was determined they were still in the fight and valid targets. A JAG officer was also giving legal advice.
This backs up the entire second strike. Yes, I mean, it just doesn't get more crystal clear than that.
It doesn't get more crystal clear than that. I mean,
No.
and
the liberal media was trying to use this as an opportunity to take shots at President Trump as if he did not have the right, or we did not have the right, or shouldn't be finishing the mission of destroying the boat and everything with it.
I mean, I know there are, civil libertarians that want the Constitution to apply to in due process to apply to drug traffickers, and I'm just not on board with that. I also understand, well, if we're going to go to war, we need to declare war and that sort of thing. I get that argument, in theory, but since when has that mattered?
Never.
If you wanted to go back and say, we need to do that. Okay, that's an argument, but we haven't done that for a very long time when it comes to these drone strikes or whatever you want to call it. No one's consulting Congress for that sort of stuff. It's only now that they're like, oh, well, you're not consulting Congress. And I just we're way past that. They use the Constitution only when it's to their advantage, and the truth of the matter is the Constitution does not matter as a function as it functions today because there's no enforcement mechanism to actually, even with the courts, there's really not. I mean, it's just nuts.
Millions of our citizens have been poisoned and killed by this stuff, and Trump's ticked off about it.
Yeah, and doing
He's
something
done.
so he can sleep at night.
And to Eric's point there, when you're talking about these survivors and then the reporter there in the briefing room asking, basically insinuating.
Sure, totally.
Yeah, that Pete Hegseth may be guilty of war crimes here. And it's like, okay, number one, let's start with this. Reporter, what if those two survivors, or one of the survivors, had you in a locked room? Do you feel safe because your humanity is what's asking this question. You're like, well, that's so sad. You know, they were blown apart and then they were trying to cling to life and then they got shot again, allegedly.
Like Jack and Rose in the Titanic.
Yeah. And you're just like, oh, okay, do you think this dude is a freaking schoolboy who's like a Cub Scout, you know? Like, this dude would
He's a narco terrorist.
rape, kill, murder, do whatever they can to achieve their goals, which is I want to make as much money as possible. I want to sell as many drugs as I can to these stupid Americans who will pay it because they've got more money, right? That is their objective. And these boats are getting blown out of the water. And I want to ask you this too. I want to ask any liberal, when you want to talk about, well, that just seems extreme and there's no due process and all of this stuff. What was worse? Let's go all the way back to World War II. What was worse? Pearl Harbor or the atomic bombs that dropped on Japan? The two separate bombs. What was a worse thing?
Oh, in terms of loss of life? Yeah, I mean,
it's not
obviously
even and not even
yeah.
just loss of life. It is the aftermath
Yeah,
and the rebuilding and all of this stuff. Like, the atomic bombs were infinitely worse. And someone might look at that and say, well, that wasn't a proportionate response. We're trying to end the war. They bombed Japan with these atomic bombs to end the war. Trump is trying to end this war by saying, this is what's going to happen. If you're on this speedboat with 5 motors trying to go across the Gulf of America here, you're going to get blown up if we think drugs are in there. And I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, Eric?
No,
on
that was
the question becomes what we talked about though yesterday, which is, are we about to seek regime change in Venezuela because of the drugs, or is it going to be because of elections? And that's my question, because if it's just for the drugs, I think Ike will just stick to bombing boats.
Squeeze them. Yeah, just
but
squeeze them.
If it's regime change to potentially expose election fraud. See, but I don't want regime change unless the administration is going to officially come out and say, yeah, Venezuelan software landed on our shores in 2004, or whatever the official story is. Like, I want honesty about it. I don't want some, hey, we're really going over there for this reason, but we're going to tell the public we're going in there for that reason. We've
had that before. I don't want that again.
Yeah, I don't want that. So anyway.
I think if we look at it through the lens of, we have a threat to the United States. To Eric's point there, we are hundreds of thousands, on average 300,000 lives are lost, every year to fentanyl, and it is the most deadly drug. I mean, when you look at the what the amounts with your fingernail, how many people that it could kill. So I think that you're looking at this and saying, look at what's killing. That's a number one killer of Americans. I would imagine it probably kills more people than heart disease. And so Trump is trying to neutralize that threat there. So I think that you can have whatever response that you're going to have to that. But when we go to regime change, it's never as simple as, we are doing this because of this. We are going to go in there and we're going to accomplish this because of this. It's never that simple. There's always ulterior motives, and the military-industrial complex is just sitting by licking their chops. Every one of these Venezuelan boats that are blown up, they're like, oh, yes.
Yeah, no,
we're that much closer. And I'm
true, but that
I'm
can
not
be
down with it.
That can be a really
Number
bad
one killer of healthy young people. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, heart disease and diabetes kill everybody else. But yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of young people that have thousands and thousands and thousands that should still be here with us today.
I just think that the Emerald Robinson thing is a factor here, and her reporting is not being picked up by as many people.
Yeah.
It's kind of in a section of MAGA
they're
right now.
trying to call her conspiracy theorist and all that crap.
But I just think the story, if true, it puts a lot more context into why we've got warships surrounding Venezuela right now. So
yeah,
and I'll wait and see what happens. But I mean, our guest yesterday I mean, he seemed to really kind of confirm. I mean, indirectly, there was a lot he knew that he could not say about where this state is going, and he seems to think that accountability will happen with the people that have been responsible for rigging the elections. So.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen this clip from our friend Derek Evans?
Oh, our good buddy Derek Evans. Great follow on social media. January 6th, now running for Congress.
Out of West
in
Virginia.
West Virginia,
Yeah.
there. And connected here to X America News. But no, I've not seen this clip.
Okay. You haven't seen this
buckle
clip
up.
either?
Is it good?
Yeah.
All right. So is it attributed to anybody? It's attributed to GPA. Does this give us more context to where?
It
No.
just says yeah.
Okay. Well,
Wait a
so-
minute. The education system has failed. Just put the fries in the bag is what the
Yeah. So yeah, this is going to be. I mean, if this is a little bit of a black pill. Although I will confess, I'm not the best with math, and I'm not the best with fractions. However, I mean, I definitely have quarter past, half past down.
Well, get ready.
Get ready for this.
People that say it's a quarter till this time, that shit has always angered me.
Why? That's some of those.
Okay, what's I didn't learn this till this year. A quarter doesn't mean 25 minutes. It's a quarter past 9, 9:25.
Completely wrong. Completely wrong.
What is so? It's 15.
Correct.
What? Tell me how does that make sense? Explain that to me.
Because a quarter, you're thinking straight to currency.
Yes.
A quarter is a fourth. That's all a quarter is.
Well, okay.
A quarter is a fourth of anything. It's a fourth of anything. Don't think of the actual.
I don't understand that.
A fourth. A quarter of 10 is 2.5.
gears are turning.
2.5, 25. Where is this 15 coming? Yeah, where's 15 coming from?
An hour is 60.
The guy realized it was a bad example.
I should have used that one.
Yeah.
I should have used the quarter or
Wait a
something
minute.
else.
Wait a minute.
2.5.
2.5, 25. Where is this 15
Bad
coming?
example.
Yeah, where's
Bad
15
example.
coming from?
Bad example.
An hour is 60 minutes. So
Okay.
if you break it into fourths, a quarter
25,
is 15.
50.
Get
When do we
25
start
out of your
speaking
head.
in currency? Like when I say it's $1.30 until 18. What am I supposed to like? What? It's $1.30 till noon. Who are we?
It's $1.30 till 18. If you fused currency and military time, people are gonna think you just walked out of a spaceship.
Oh my gosh, man. You know what? At least he had a good sense of humor about his, but he doesn't realize how dumb he is. He thinks he's got something of a point. Like, you don't have a point.
There's no point.
You need to think of it in pie charts, sir.
It,
A
rem-
tenth
it,
of-
re- it reminds me of that clip. I don't know. Did you guys ever see that clip where some podcast girl was interviewing some black female artist, music artist, and she said, "You know, you're a musician," and she was like, "I know music.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I know.
What do you think I do? Magic?
Magician and musician. I think that was that Nicki Minaj?
No, it wasn't.
No, it's somebody
No.
I've never heard of before.
No, Nicki Minaj is
Oh.
not that stupid. That
Oh.
girl is. I'm not just. I don't just do music. I'm an actor. I'm this. Like, nobody even knows who you are.
Oh,
but
and I remember the podcast, the
Yeah.
girl that was
Yeah,
interviewing
it was
her
several
too.
years old now, but I mean, it was
Yeah.
like one of the.
Yeah.
It was one of those things. I'm like, is there hope for? Is there hope
no.
for the education?
She said it so confidently. She was insulted by this girl saying that she was a musician.
Yeah.
And then finally, the girl was like, realized, which that's a little bit of her shtick. She
Yeah.
asks like these questions to have these awkward conversations with people. That's her
Yeah.
thing,
It's
right?
no
That's her-
emotion. It's this
Yeah.
stoic.
And,
Yeah.
But she stumbled upon something there with this girl, and she was like, "Whoa, wait a minute. Okay, can I get you to say this again? Can I say you're not a musician? Can you say that again for me?"
Yeah.
She's like, "Yeah. What the f is that? I'm not a musician. I do music." I want to go back to this guy there. I want to if you had him on the podcast sometime and just be like, "Hey, what's if I said it's a 10th past 1, what time is it?" 1:10. Like, that's what his answer would be.
I
Not
tell people all the time that
1:06.
I'm at a point in my life where basically I just walk around saying, "Wait, what?" Because you hear things and you see situations like
Yeah.
this. I hear the things that my kids hear at school
Yeah.
that is talked about, and the things going on culturally, and liberals and a lot of their nonsense and narrative, and I'm just like, "Wait, what?" like all the time. I catch myself saying it on a daily basis, and I need to stop being surprised as much as I am. But my goodness, when I saw this, I was like, wait, what?
We've got to put something in there to lighten the mood.
He was so confident, though.
I was like,
you know,
using my kids like, bruh, come on.
I found the secret to crack the system. But no, I actually sympathize with him because, like I said, I am horrible with math, especially if somebody asks me a math question on the spot. I freeze because in the 7th grade I had a really mean math teacher that like traumatized me. So I think I have some version of like arithmetic dyslexia.
This guy would be really concerned if he dealt with a really much older person and you ask them what time it is and they say 1:45. They don't even say the hour.
Yeah.
Because if you're so stupid, you don't realize that we're in the 2 o'clock hour. I can't tell you 2:45 is not going to make sense to you.
Yeah, Votech, we got to put some resources in Votech, folks.
Half
That's
past.
all the time that we
Right.
have for this edition of the show. Like, share, subscribe wherever you're watching. Want to give a shout out to our sponsors: Red Vive Health, New Horizon Real Estate, Gateway Sight and Sound, T-Guard Bail Bonds, and Sherrod Chiropractic. We appreciate it. It's Thursday, right? The week has gone by super fast. We will see you guys back here on Monday. God bless everybody out there watching.